Good evening and a warm welcome. You're watching another special edition of the newsroom being brought to you tonight from the Thamel market in Kathmandu. For the last 4 days, all the lights here have been completely out. The market's shut. Now, you can see the first signs of life springing back, heading towards normalcy here at Thamel. There's been a lot of focus over the past 100 hours on the problems of Kathmandu. So we want to start the newsroom tonight by taking you to Sindhupalchok, the worst affected area of Nepal, where 1400 people have died at last count, and that toll is still rising. This is the one area that suffered the maximum number of fatalities in the Nepal earthquake. The situation there is quite desperate. Here is my ground report on the newsroom from the most fatal town in Nepal. Of all the places of Nepal that have been badly ravaged by the earthquake, the highest number of fatalities have been suffered here at the Sindhupal district where we are currently. The death toll already stands at 1400 and that count is rising. Behind me, one of the houses that have been devastated by the earthquake. On the walls outside, the owners of the house had lovingly put up the pictures of their children. Those pictures stay, but not much of the house remains. These houses have been rendered completely unstable. People unsure of whether it's safe to go back in. The other big problem is that the weather is very overcast. It's been raining for the last several hours, and as a consequence, the already weakened structures are now wet, soggy, which makes them even more susceptible to fall. We're being asked to rush through and not stay in any one area because in this case, literally, the skies could come falling on our heads. Life had come to a complete standstill here at the Sindhupalchok for the past 4 days, but now people finally beginning to open their shutters, try and go back to their work. Now, take a look at this store. It's a barber shop. But the building right next to it has been completely damaged and destroyed. As a result, there's a huge amount of structural damage to the building in which this shop is, which has now been opened, which really makes these people very vulnerable. Right outside are these motorcycles, now quite literally a dirt bike buried deep inside the rubble. In front, a Maruti 800 car, again smashed to smithereens. Now, these people are here, they are immobile, unable to get around, they don't have water, and the buildings in which they are in right now have suffered a huge amount of structural damage.
On day 4, the Nepal Army, helped by the Indian Air Force, was able to airdrop essential supplies to Sindhupalchok. But for the residents, this is too little, too late.
एक बच्चा है यहाँ पर मेल में दबा हुआ है, वो बच्चा भी नहीं निकाला गया है और यहाँ पर लोग सब पाल टांग के अपने तरफ से अब जो हुआ वही मिलाकर रखकर रह रहे हैं और किसी का अभी तक राहत का कुछ भी एक तिनका तक भी कुछ नहीं मिला है अभी तक सरकार की ओर से। कुछ इतना हो गया, लेकिन कुछ आदमी यहाँ जो है हेल्प नहीं कर रहा है हम लोग को। स्थिति बहुत गंभीर है और सुनते हैं उधर गाड़ी इंडिया सरकार से गाड़ी सब संचालन हुआ, लेकिन नेपाल सरकार अभी तक जो है जो कुछ नहीं किया है।
हमारा भाई गुम्बा गांव से पांगपांग में अभी पांगरपुर में टीचर है और बुआरी भी टीचर है। 4 दिन हुए, कोई पता नहीं है, कोई बातचीत नहीं हुई आपकी हमसे, कुछ नहीं बातचीत हुई।
International aid agencies too have started reaching Sindhupalchok. A team of experts from the UK told Headlines today that more than 70% of the buildings in the area have been devastated.
Our assessment is 70 to 80% of houses are damaged in this area.
Now, there are several people who are standing around wondering whether it's safe for them to go back into their houses. As an expert, what do you think?
I'm not an expert in construction, so it is very hard to make a judgment. There could be another earthquake. Any buildings that are damaged might fall down.
Oxfam too has sent a team of experts to help assess the civic infrastructure of the town. Oxfam officials fear the possibility of a mass epidemic.
We went to some of the nearby villages and we found that there is no relief so far reached from the government or any other agencies. There is immediate need of tarpaulin, for the temporary shelter because it rained heavily last night and people were in the open sky. Then there is the need of water, safe drinking water, because all the water infrastructure has been damaged, all the pipeline has been damaged. Somehow people are managing food, but this will last only for 2-3 days.
This used to be the brand new district hospital at Sindhupalchok, now completely unusable after the earthquake. There were doctors who were tending to their patients in the observation rooms, in the operation theatres here. You can see the extent of the damage caused by the earthquake. Here are the wards where doctors keep a close eye on their patients. Several parts of this hospital have been badly hurt, badly impacted by this earthquake.
Dr. Nikki Shrestha and her team are now operating out of this makeshift tent. Medicine supplies are running low and they don't have proper surgical instruments. Patients, though, are flooding in. Dr. Nikki is now getting desperate.
Actually, there are lots of problems. You might have seen our hospital. It's totally ruined, and it was literally shaking when we just grabbed the things we could take and came here for the treatment. We just literally grabbed the things from the emergency, and we came here. And slowly we are transporting the facilities, the equipments and all, and we are keeping it here, and we are treating the patients. And we don't have X-ray. We have nothing. We don't have even bed also. We are just able to keep the tent for 2 days. And these desks are also from 2 days. So lots of problems.
As help takes time to reach the most badly affected areas, the government in Nepal is coming under fire from its own citizens. But this earthquake has devastated all instruments of governance.
This used to be the district headquarters of Sindhupalchok, now reduced to rubble. Printers, telephones, sofas, cupboards, including government documents now out in the open. It's been pouring continuously. These are important land files, personal records, all of them out in the open after the earthquake struck.
Seeing the scope of the devastation across Nepal, it is clear that it's going to take several years, not months, for Nepal to find its feet again. With video journalists Yogendra Singh and Rahul Kaval in Sindhupalchok, Nepal, Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
If you're watching this broadcast and you can help arrange for medicines or doctors, that's an effort you really must make. Nepal needs everyone's help. From Sindhupalchok, let's come back here to Thamel. I walked around the market this afternoon and caught up with a lot of the tourists. What I found, to my pleasant surprise, was that several of the tourists are not rushing back home. Some of them have actually extended their vacation. They want to stay back and help rebuild Nepal. What was earlier planned as a trekking expedition has now turned into a humanitarian mission.
For over 100 hours now, tourists have stayed indoors in their hotel rooms, afraid of being caught in the aftershocks of the earthquake. But today they gingerly started venturing out, some to take out cash from ATMs, others to take a stroll. They may have been scared till now, but they're now determined to stay on and help Nepal.
No, we're planning to stay. We're going up to the Solo Khumbu next week to actually look at to do an assessment of damage to schools and things in the area, and to make some recommendations to our funding agency as to where they can best spend their money.
New Zealand is currently having an appeal to help rebuild schools and health clinics in the Solo Khumbu, and so they're wanting to have information about where the priorities lay. So we're coordinating with Humanitarian Trust Nepal and trying to work in with the systems already in place that the government have in place.
I just arrived. I come
Despite the earthquake?
Yeah, just after the earthquake. I think I go with friends from Karma Flight for helping in Gorkha, I think.
I'm still staying. I go to the mountains for gathering in a farm and maybe help the people in the village Well, I plan to stay like 5 months in total, and I'm gonna stay 2 months more. As a
The earthquake doesn't scare you?
Yes, when it happened, it scared me, but I mean now it's over. So
Many foreign nationals have made Kathmandu their home. They're now appealing to tourists not to get scared by the catastrophe on Sunday, since things have started returning to normal.
No, I'm staying. I'm not leaving.
And what do you hope to do?
Well, I live here. I'm a principal at a school, and so I'm waiting for school to reopen so I can go back to work.
Does the earthquake and the aftershocks not scare you?
No?
I had a flight on Saturday to go back to the States, but I'm planning to stay an extra month to help relief efforts.
For shop owners in Nepal, the earthquake struck at the worst possible time of year, bang in the middle of the peak tourist season. For them, it's going to be a long walk to normalcy.
Yeah, the business is really going down. I think it will recover very soon, but now, it's not really good. Yeah.
The entire tourism season has been impacted by this earthquake.
Yeah, really, the many tourists have already gone back to their home, and many people are trying to go because I have listened, that many tourists, they are trying to buy ticket and they are not getting the ticket. So I think it is making the huge impact in our business.
सब टूरिस्ट चले गए, अब कुछ भी नहीं रहा, अभी महीनों लगेंगे.
पहले तो सभी अभी जो था सब बंद हो गया है, क्योंकि रूम्स में पानी नहीं था, उसके लिए होटल बंद करना पड़ा, क्योंकि उतने में सब कुछ क्या होता है, जबकि पानी नहीं है तो कुछ भी नहीं है. उसके बाद थोड़ा सा डैमेज हुआ है होटल में, थोड़ा सा कंस्ट्रक्शन वो भी बाकी है, रूम्स में थोड़ा सा डैमेज हुआ है.
There were far fewer people in Thamel when we came here this afternoon than there are now. The hustle and bustle in the marketplaces of Kathmandu seems to be increasing with every passing hour. And it's been so amazing to hear these foreign tourists say they're committed to staying. What were trekking expeditions earlier are now being converted into humanitarian missions. But outsiders too want to stay and help rebuild Nepal. With camera person Yogendra Singh, this is Rahul Kamal reporting from Kathmandu for Headlines Today. All across Kathmandu at this time, rescue operations are still going on. And leading those rescue operations is India's National Disaster Relief Force. I accompany teams of the NDRF on 2 live rescue operations to try and help you understand the effort that's being made by these teams of the NDRF here on the ground in Kathmandu. Their work is truly exemplary. Take a look at the effort being made by the NDRF in the rescue operations in Kathmandu. We are joined now by the Director General of the National Disaster Relief Force, O.P. Singh, who, despite being the DG of the force, is on a broken building himself, trying to supervise these rescue operations. So first and foremost, my concern, how do you ensure that this building doesn't go down? The building already in a very precarious position, and all of us are perched on top of this building, sir.
Absolutely. That is why my boys are taking all kinds of precautions so that this collapsed structure doesn't further collapse. And you have seen this, it has fallen like a V shape. This particular roof, which is a concrete roof, has fallen like a V shape, and that is why you see the surrounding houses. They haven't collapsed, and this must be one of the reasons why it has collapsed, because of the weak wall. The walls are very weak, and the RCC roof is there, and that is why they just couldn't sustain the weight. The NDRF team is currently trying to find an alternate approach route to go inside where they suspect these 5 bodies to be. They're trying to shore this wall so that it becomes safe for them to make an approach. As you can see, there's a lot of debris lying around, lots of big blocks, big slabs of bricks, which are very, very dangerous when left loose. They're trying to shore this area. They've already been able to pull out 1 dead body from right behind there.
where you see blood spattered on that piece of cloth. That's where they pulled out a body. There are 5 more people who are suspected to be inside and they're trying to look for them.
यहाँ से विक्टिम में जो यहाँ से अप्रोच करने का दूसरा चांस ये है क्योंकि यहाँ पे हमको डेड बॉडी की स्मेल भी आ रही है।
कहाँ कितना दूर से आ रही है आपको?
ये तकरीबन यहाँ इस 10 फुट के एरिया से यहाँ पे डेड बॉडी हो सकती है क्योंकि वो स्मेल किया था हमने, क्योंकि हम यहाँ पे बहुत देर हो चुके हैं और यहाँ पे काफी देर काम करते हैं, यहाँ पे हैबिचुअल हो गए हैं।
What you're seeing in action now are the dog squads of the NDRF, specially trained Labradors whose job it is to be able to send people, dead or alive, who might be buried somewhere in the debris. Let's speak to their trainers.
ये डॉग ने ये बताया सर कि यहाँ पे जो है विक्टिम हो सकता है, यहाँ पे
विक्टिम हो सकता है। तो क्या ये डॉग ये भी बता सकता है कि ये विक्टिम क्या जीवित है या मर गया है?
वैसे सर ये जीवित उसका बताता है, लेकिन सेंट काफी फैल चुकी है, तो ये उसके जो मरा हुआ है विक्टिम उसका ही बताएगा।
अच्छा, तो ये नहीं पता चलता कि डॉग ये नहीं बता सकता कि जो बॉडी है वो किसी जीवित आदमी की है या मर गया है, ये पता नहीं चलता है?
जी नहीं, वो खाली जीवित आदमी के को ज्यादा सूंघेगा और ज्यादा, मतलब अगर जीवित आदमी अगर होगा तो उसके लिए ज्यादा बार्क करेगा, डेड आदमी पे इतना बार्क नहीं करेगा।
जीवित आदमी हो तो ज्यादा
जीवित आदमी को सूंघता है।
सर्च को पुख्ता करने के लिए डॉग सर्च, कैनाइन सर्च की जाती है, जिसमें डॉग्स को भेजते हैं।
सबसे ज्यादा इफेक्टिव सर्च कौन सा होता है?
मैनुअल सर्च होती है, उसमें सबसे पहले विक्टिम्स को निकाल लिया जाता है, फिर बाकी सर्च बाद में की जाती है।
These NDRF teams have penetration radars, they have sniffer dogs, and they have a lot of determination. What they don't have are cutting-edge, latest technology like the French and the Israeli rescue teams. I saw the French teams in action. They have equipment that helps them pick up any sign of life, which is why they're able to drill in a very precise fashion, and their chances of being able to pull out someone alive are that much higher than that of the NDRF team. Prime Minister Modi and others in his government really need to help upgrade and enhance the capability and the capacity of these NDRF personnel. You're with us on the newsroom, and we're broadcasting tonight live from the Tamil market in Kathmandu. One of the big problems being faced by the government in Nepal is rumor mongering and the fear and paranoia that is being whipped up. All kinds of sundry babas have made predictions that there will be another big earthquake soon. This is scaring people. There are also WhatsApp messages that have gone viral which suggest that a mass epidemic is spreading. You can see people roaming around with masks on their face. There are some who refuse to take off their helmets. The government in Nepal is very worried about the rumor mongering and wants to clamp down on it. But this is creating a law and order problem, and thousands of people want to leave Nepal and flee to the countryside.
Over the last 48 hours, more than 2.5 lakh people have moved out of Kathmandu. The fear of a looming epidemic sparking panic.
डर तो ये है कि यहाँ पर अभी बहुत सारे लोग बहुत सारी घरों पर गिरकर फंसे हुए हैं, उनको निकालने में और उनकी लाशों से बहुत बड़ी महामारी फैल सकती है, उसकी भी डर है.
But the logistical nightmare has led to confusion and anger on the streets of Nepal. Thousands of people have lined up at bus stands to leave the city ever since dawn. But many still haven't been able to make it out of Kathmandu. Residents are now running short on patience, with many yearning to reunite with their families. Scuffles breaking out between angry crowds and authorities, with paucity of buses to ferry passengers, forcing the Nepalese riot police to battle the tense situation. That's not the only challenge Kathmandu faces. Hospitals in the city are out of medical supplies, and the inflow of patients is still overwhelming.
Latest now needs medicine is analgesics, painkillers, bandage, betadines, and antibiotics, cefazolins, and back supports, lumbar.
Serpentine queues were witnessed at petrol pumps as well, who upped the shutters on the 5th day after the deadly earthquake.
और कितनी उम्मीद लगती है पूरा पेट्रोल मिलने की?
1 घंटा के करीब में लग जाते हैं, कभी-कभी तो 2-3 घंटा लग जाता है.
The humanitarian crisis is escalating in Nepal, and tempers are now running short. The biggest challenge for the government now is to contain the fear of the breakout of an epidemic that has led to chaos on the streets of Kathmandu. With Manogya Loiwal and Sanjay Sharma in Kathmandu, Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
Amidst all these stories of fear, paranoia and tragedy, there's also the odd, rare instance of a miraculous rescue. People buried deep inside the debris for more than 50 hours, finally being pulled out by the rescue officials. One such person had been drinking his own urine and he was pulled out alive. Take a look at this report.
3 stories of grit and determination that have kept hope afloat for relatives of thousands missing in Nepal. Nepalese youth John Casey is among a number of victims rescued by a special unit of the Nepal Army. He was trapped under the debris of Ramjang Resunga Hotel.
I feel good also, bad also. Now I'm free and I'm so happy.
17-year-old Krishna Ramtar was on the top of the iconic Dharara Tower in Kathmandu when the earthquake struck. Fell nearly 200 feet as the tower crashed to rubble, but managed to emerge as one of the only survivors.
When earthquake was coming there, then I didn't know what has happened.
The real story about this person, Krishna Ramtar. If you see, this is Krishna Ramtar. He was standing right here. This is at 200 feet. This is an observation balcony. Now, 17-year-old Krishna was on the 8th floor of the balcony with the family. His entire family was right here. Other members of the family are no more.
Rishi Khanal has been pulled out from the debris nearly 80 hours after the earthquake. Lost a leg, but survived the disaster despite no access to food or water. Reportedly by just drinking his own urine.
After nearly 80 hours, the patient is alive. He was alone along with the 3 dead bodies in that room. Patient had no where to go to defecate and urinate. Also, he had nothing to eat as well as drink.
And finally, this man who dodged death during the Latur earthquake and survived the Nepal disaster as well.
भारतीय एयरफोर्स जो है, सैल्यूट टू देम, उन्होंने हमारी बहुत हेल्प की, खाने की, पीने की और सपोर्ट, मॉरल सपोर्ट भी दे दिया कि कुछ नहीं होगा.
Miracles do happen. Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
While there are the few cases of a miraculous rescue, the overwhelming majority is of stories of unfathomable tragedy. People who saw their near and dear ones perish in front of their own eyes.
He survived the earthquake, but now Suraj's house and life are in shambles. On 25th April, when the quake struck, Suraj saw his wife and 4-month-old baby being swallowed as the earth split. Suraj himself was stuck in the debris for close to half-hour. He survived, but his wife and child did not.
याद आता है बहुत, रोने लगते हैं, चिन-चिन, क्या करूं? शादी किया 1 साल हो गया, क्या करें, मजबूर.
17 kilometers from Kathmandu, Sakho Sankapur village is trying to pick up the pieces. Most of the village has been reduced to rubble. People have lost their loved ones and their homes. Some have even been living in cars since the earthquake.
यहाँ रात को गाड़ी में ही रुकते हैं?
गाड़ी में, सुकुम्बासी जैसे.
और बाकी सारे आपके परिवार के लोग इधर ही रहते हैं?
इधर, सब इधर. अंदर कोई नहीं जाएगा.
This is what remains of what used to be a busy market. It's now turned into a virtual graveyard with over 70 bodies pulled out of the rubble.
फिर भी आएंगी या कुछ होगा, मेरा घर भी जाएगा, इस डर से वो लोग अभी तक अंदर सो नहीं सकते।
जो सरकार ने राहत भी नहीं दे रहा है, अभी हमको कुछ भी राहत वाला नहीं आया है।
Transcending borders, this family in Delhi too has been jolted by tragedy. Dr. Harish Devgan lost his son Gaurav to the quake. Gaurav was part of an NGO delegation. Dr. Devgan lost his wife and younger son a couple of years ago. Now his 5-year-old granddaughter and his daughter-in-law are all he has for family. Shaken and shattered, the only thing left for those struck by tragedy is hope for a better future. With Sanjay Sharma in Kathmandu, Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
That's all we have time for on this special edition of the newsroom being brought to you tonight from Kathmandu. All through this week, Headlines Today will continue to report from ground zero on every facet of this Himalayan tragedy. We end our broadcast tonight. Good evening and a warm welcome. You're watching another special edition of the newsroom being brought to you tonight from the Tamil market in Kathmandu. For the last 4 days, all the lights here have been completely out, the market's shut. Now, you can see the first signs of life springing back, heading towards normalcy here at Tamil. There's been a lot of focus over the past 100 hours on the problems of Kathmandu. So we want to start the newsroom tonight by taking you to Sindhupalchok, the worst affected area of Nepal, where 1,400 people have died at last count, and that toll is still rising. This is the one area that suffered the maximum number of fatalities in the Nepal earthquake. The situation there is quite desperate. Here is houses have been rendered completely unstable. People unsure of whether it's safe to go back in. The other big problem is that the weather is very overcast. It's been raining for the last several hours, and as a consequence, the already weakened structures are now wet, soggy, which makes them even more susceptible to fall. We're being asked to rush through and not stay in any one area because in this case, literally, the skies could come falling on our heads. Life had come to a complete standstill here at the Sindhupalchok for the past 4 days, but now people finally beginning to open their shutters, try and go back to their work. Now, take a look at this store. It's a barber shop. But the building right next to it has been completely damaged and destroyed. As a result, there's a huge amount of structural damage to the building in which this shop is, which has now been opened, which really makes these people very vulnerable. Right outside, my ground report on the newsroom from the most fatal town in Nepal. Of all the places of Nepal that have been badly ravaged by the earthquake, the highest number of fatalities have been suffered here at the Sindhupal district where we are currently. The death toll already stands at 1,400 and that count is rising. Behind me, one of the houses that have been devastated by the earthquake. On the walls outside, the owners of the house had lovingly put up the pictures of their children. Those pictures stay, but not much of the house remains.
उधर गाड़ी इंडिया सरकार से गाड़ी ये सब संचालन हुआ, लेकिन नेपाल सरकार अभी तक जो है जो कुछ नहीं किया है।
हमारा भाई गुम्बा गांव से पांगपांग में अभी के पांगरपुर में टीचर है और बुआरी भी टीचर है। 4 दिन हुए, कोई पता नहीं है, कोई
बातचीत नहीं हुई आपकी हमसे,
कुछ नहीं बातचीत हुई।
International aid agencies too have started reaching Sindhupalchok. A team of experts from the UK told Headlines Today that more than 70% of the buildings in the area have been devastated.
Our assessment is 70 to 80% of houses are damaged in this area.
Now, there are several people who are standing around wondering whether it's safe for them to go back into their houses. As an expert, what do you think?
I'm not an expert in construction, so it is very hard to make a judgment. There could be another earthquake. Any buildings that are damaged might fall down.
Oxfam too has sent a team of experts.
These motorcycles are quite literally a dirt bike buried deep inside the rubble in front of Maruti 800 car, again smashed to smithereens. Now these people are here, they are immobile, unable to get around, they don't have water, and the buildings in which they are in right now have suffered a huge amount of structural damage.
On day 4, the Nepal army, helped by the Indian Air Force, was able to airdrop essential supplies to Sindhupalchok. But for the residents, this is too little too late.
एक बच्चा है यहाँ पर मेल में दबा हुआ है, वो बच्चा भी नहीं निकाला गया है और यहाँ पर लोग सब पाल तान के अपने तरफ से अब ये हुआ वही मिलाकर रखकर रह रहे हैं और किसी का अभी तक राहत का कुछ भी एक तिनका तक भी कुछ नहीं मिला है अभी तक सरकार की ओर से।
कुछ इतना हो गया, लेकिन कुछ आदमी यहाँ जो है हेल्प नहीं कर रहा है हम लोग को। स्थिति बहुत गंभीर है और सुनते हैं